7-Eleven. Good morning. It's Friday morning, going into going into Mother's Day. We got speeding things up a little bit.
Even in the evening.
The teachers will be loving me. It's like, wow, it's already Memorial Day weekend. Here we are, Friday, May 6th, and we're celebrating today Cinco de Mayo 2, which would be...
The Hangover?
I was going to say Siete de Mayo. Yeah. And it all kind of falls in. And do we know what he's talking about, Davey? Okay. Can you put it up and I'll run with it?
Okay.
Oh, why don't you go in? Could you go in and just chat for me? It gives me a little background. If we could do that. Tim Reed is in. Christine is off today. Andrew is also off today.
Yeah.
So it puts us in a real different state. That's what just happened.
What, a more confused state than
just a
normal?
more confused state. Than normal. Can you imagine? So I'll ask you, Tim, before we go with this guy on the phone, is your charity bibs, where do we stand right now? Because that's always a big issue at this time. And here we are in May.
Yep.
And Boilermaker's just around the corner.
We've got about 20 bibs left, 3 or 4 different organizations in regards to it. The wait list is over 600 folks.
Wow.
We sent an email blast out to them basically saying, hey,
out of those 600,
chance. Come on, a couple of years,
and it's not like you got to raise the world.
No, it's we kind of pegged it to the same amount that Ride for Missing Exploited Children does, $500.
Yeah.
I think Make a Wish Baby is $1,000 or whatever it is, but it's a great way to be able to run the race, do the right thing, and have someone else pay for your registration.
Yeah,
what's not to love for that?
You got to love that, and it's a way in if you haven't been able to get in.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying it's not easy. It's not hard, but we had one person who posted their dog's face on Facebook and said, if you don't pay for my master's charity bib, she's going to have to rent me out. And they made $1,000 in 6 days.
That's it. Especially in this area, the money just flows in. It's unbelievable how that all happens. All right, on the line right now is from the Hill newspaper group, Jesse Byrns. And I don't know if you've been watching any of what's been going on with Trump and the latest, Paul Ryan coming out yesterday. It is just more of the same. And the word that I can think of is crazy. Jesse, what is going on? What do we know, and what in the heck is going on here?
Well, it was, a remarkable kind of turn of events to see the highest elected Republican in the country coming out and saying he won't endorse the presumptive GOP nominee. So there's this kind of tension, and we've seen it for months, between Paul Ryan and Trump. And Trump has kind of shown that he wants concessions from anyone that he's going to work with. And so we kind of saw, to some extent, Paul Ryan take a similar tone, saying if Trump is going to be the nominee, he wants Trump to have to kind of meet him somewhere on some issues. So that kind of tension, if Trump continues to go on and past November, which is a huge question, obviously, that tension, we'll see that on display for the next several months leading up to that.
I think the one big thing that when you look at the numbers, Trump really is going to have it's a long road to victory when you look at the numbers. But the numbers have never, the big part of this, the numbers haven't made sense all year long, and he continues to win. I think it makes people second-guess themselves when they're throwing their numbers out there.
Yeah, and we've seen several key Democrats and figures supporting Hillary Clinton come out and openly say that this will not be, we saw Harry Reid mention it, that Democrats are kind of fooling themselves if they think that it's going to be just a slam dunk going up against Trump, just because he's been so unpredictable, and we've seen, kind of ruthless in his attacks of his opponents. And so looking just at the numbers, yes, he is kind of underwater with women and pretty much every minority group against Clinton. But that being said, when you see this kind of like scorched earth campaigning, that can also drag down, the other side that you're running against, and maybe equalize or kind of, level the playing field a little bit.
Do you think that Ryan and Trump are going to be able to come together? Because Ryan really made some pretty big demands yesterday, really asking for Trump to go back on some of the things he said about women and about the Muslims and a ban on Muslims. And isn't that the stuff that really kind of excited his followers? How does he then say, well, I've changed my mind, I'm the nominee now, and I'm not going to do all these things?
Yeah, I think he did see, a little bit more support after he announced the Muslim ban. It's not one of those kind of campaign mainstay issues like, building the wall or, trying to beat back China in terms of trade. So there is, it's not an issue where if he were to, tone it down or maybe make it a little bit more specific and say, we're only going to vet, Syrians, and it's not a broad ban on all Muslims. If he did something like that, maybe there would be a little bit more kind of wiggle room, and that's not out of the question. There have been even some kind of other Republicans who previously, said that pretty much they support Trump that have said, he really needs to tone it down, be more specific, and kind of move away from this hot campaign rhetoric towards more detailed policy. So I think they're going to want to see that.
Yeah. Talking to Jesse Byrns, he's from the
Hill.
The Hill, right. Got it. Here's Manaski.
Well, a quick question on a potential VP candidate. Is it possible that minorities, women, and even Republican leaders who are not hot on Trump now, is it possible they change their tune if they like or think he's making a wise choice for VP, and who could that be?
Yeah, that's definitely the big question. We've seen Trump, he indicated yesterday that he'll probably announce at the convention in July. There's going to be a huge amount of pressure on him. There already is to announce a conservative running mate, just because there's such deep doubts among many on the right that they realize he's not in many ways. He supported Democrats in the past, and so there's going to be a lot of pressure to name a conservative running mate, someone maybe even to the right of himself.
Right.
That being said, it's going to be difficult. It's a kind of high order because anyone who might satisfy that desire among people on the right is, maybe someone that's not going to be his running mate. So we've seen a lot of names being floated. Several people have already said that they're, not interested. Nikki Haley, for instance, from South Carolina, who was floated by someone in the Trump campaign this week, has taken herself out of consideration. There are others that still remain that could bring some type of unity. We understand that Marco Rubio and Trump have spoken a few times since Rubio dropped out in March, and so that would certainly be some type of unity ticket if there is one.
All right. What about independents? The independent vote is pretty big out there.
Yeah, there's some speculation. Ben Carson, who is that we understand is kind of involved in the VP mix of kind of vetting potential ones. He said he's personally not interested, but he indicated yesterday that even independents or Democrats might be considered for a VP pick. The Trump campaign, walked that back pretty quickly. Said, of course, it's going to be a Republican, but it's not out of the question, it seems.
Tim Reed with a question.
Yeah, one of the things that I've heard is that Trump kind of needs to make peace with the Republicans just simply because of funding. Because there's a big difference between self-funding yourself in the Republican nomination versus going into the general election where you're talking, up against $1 billion.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, yeah, there's definitely that too. Trump is already pivoting to say that he will, likely raise funds. He's mostly kind of lent his campaign money, and he has taken in fundraising, but not to the extent that others have. But yeah, we'll see a lot more fundraising, and if he did pick someone that energized his ticket, then that could certainly lead to an easier time fundraising. That being said, a lot of Republican donors, while many will come around, there's still some that just are very skeptical of him, and so I think in general it's going to be kind of a hard sell to really energize all parts of the Republican side.
Yeah.
That being said, they'll probably pick up some Democrats and others that maybe previously wouldn't be interested in the GOP nominee.
Jesse Byrns is with the Hill newspaper in D.C. And Jesse, thanks. We'll talk again. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right. Here's an update. What's going on? 721 Manaski in for Christine. with an update. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill. And of course, we were talking about this morning. Donald Trump mixing it up with House Speaker Paul Ryan after Ryan said he looks forward to eventually supporting Trump. The presumptive GOP nominee responded by saying that he's not yet ready to support Speaker Ryan's agenda. Democratic presidential frontrunner Hillary Clinton catching a lot of heat from protesters. SpaceX is celebrating successfully launching and landing its Falcon 9 rocket. And comedian Arsenio Hall is suing singer Sinead O'Connor for millions after she claimed he provided drugs to Prince.
Yeah, that is, you can say whatever you want about a celebrity until you cross that line. By being a celebrity, you're pretty much immune to being able to sue people for slander. But when you say things like you're a pedophile or you're
a drug
dealer, that can really dig into your brand, and you can sue over that. And I was surprised she came out. It's not the first time she said something crazy. Today, listen, here we go. Sun and clouds, more clouds than sun. Can I say it that way?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say it that way. Mainly the afternoon, a chance of showers with a high in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, a little sun sprinkled in there as well. And the word sprinkle I didn't use by chance because we might get a little rain as well. Highs tomorrow into the upper 60s. A little cooler on Mother's Day. Mostly cloudy with a chance of showers mid-50s. And then on Monday, mostly sunny, high up to about 62. Currently, a little sun out there now. 49 degrees at WIBX.